Hi, so let's talk just extremely briefly about Ruined by Lynn Nottage. I am not going to go into the depth of these little discussions as I have with other plays because I want you to think about it and I want you to come up with some of the answers. Ruined has a very traditional structure. Now, one of the reasons that I feel like I don't need to give you a lot of my analysis of this play is because there is a fair amount of material in Moodle about it, interviews with her and an introduction to the play, which is vitally important to understand the play and to know how she created the material through interviews. That tells you a great deal about the play and can lead a lot to structure, and particularly her inspiration being Mother Courage and Brecht. So that informs the play a great deal, and I don't need to spell that out in a lecture and make you sit through this even longer. The structure's pretty traditional. What would you consider to be the inciting incident? What gets the ball rolling? It's easier for me always to identify the climax first, and then that really helps me identify what is the story about, and therefore, what is sort of the point of no return that led to the climax, but then therefore what is the inciting incident that eventually leads to the climax? I feel like it is when she learns that Sophie was ruined, and because that's everything else happens because of that, and the climax is when Harari leaves with the diamond. What do you think is the point of no return? Or do you have different ideas on what the inciting incident and climax might be? And if so, why? So, there are skips in time and that kind of stuff, but that doesn't mean it's not still a very traditional structure. It's very obviously linear, very obviously chronological. When we look at Ball's analysis, the one thing that I would encourage you to think about with what makes Ball, is looking at things backwards. We learn an important bit of information about Mama at the end. How does knowing that influence how you view all her choices throughout the play? Now, analyzing a play backwards is not how we learned about the play, because this is a really good example to talk about the stasis of the play. The stasis, well, I'm just going to, if you haven't read the play yet, I'll try to be enigmatic about it. We learned this very important thing about Mama at the very end of the play. That is actually part of the stasis, because it was true at the beginning. Just because we didn't know it doesn't mean it's not true, and doesn't mean it doesn't inform all of her actions. So when you look at this thing that we know about Mama, when you think about the plot going backwards, just look at, for example, her decision to take Sophie is driven by the fact of this thing that we learn about her. So that is analyzing the play backwards, because the way the characters are experiencing life, that is going backwards. So that's a little bit backwards. The title, kind of obvious. Family relationships, they form this family. What's the unique factor? There are quite a bit of unique factors. The approach of the different pressures that are, the soldiers are coming, the soldiers are leaving. The high-ranking men are threatening, so that has a lot of the unique factors. Can you change the setting? No. So just a super quick look at the critical theories. Marxism is actually probably the most important theory to look at with this play, because it was based on, not only because it was based on Mother Courage, but because it is really rooted in the economy of these people. We see these people in their job, be it as it is, it's a brothel, basically it's a bar, but their means of material, the means of their acquiring wealth is the setting. So that says a lot. It's an important factor. Everything about this play revolves around money, basically. Mama Nadi trying to get money, and how she gets money, and how she exploits the girls, how she supports the girls. The question that I would pose to you is, what does this play say about capitalism? Does it say it's good or bad? There's lots of conflicting conflicting information. You could say that she's exploiting the women for material wealth, but at the same time, what would these women do if they were not sex workers? Is it worse to live in a village with people, living within the threat of being killed, basically, by soldiers, or being a sex worker in a place where you know you're going to live, stay alive? There's lots of conflicting information thrown at you for that. What does it say about being a woman? It's tough. Yeah, it's hard. It says a lot. And I don't think you have to look too hard at the play to analyze it from a feminist perspective. Aren't any queer characters that we know of. Maybe if some of the women were not thrust into the situation they are, then they would choose to enact a queer identity, but they're not given that option. So, not a lot that we can say for queer theory here, but the fact that there is not much to say says a lot. Is it postmodern? I don't know. It is. She has acknowledged that she is a traditional playwright, but some of her other plays have been known to be much more postmodern than this. This one, sure, it's postmodern because of the time it's set. It's in a postmodern time where your identity is being challenged, that you suffer because of your identity. The idea that that the foundation of the world is being rocked, that you can't trust anyone. The importance of capitalism and how capitalism goes awry, that is very postmodern. So there definitely are postmodern aspects to this play, but probably at the end of the day, not any more than would any playwright probably writing just about any play these days. So I'm not minimizing the application of these theories at all. I just didn't want to give you more to listen to and more use of your time this week because it's a busy week. But at the end of the day, other plays that we've talked about in class probably have a more direct application of these things. But definitely think about Marxism with this play and about about feminism in this play. Obviously, we can't talk about African American theory because they're not American. So, but that doesn't mean that's not important. There is another theory called post-colonial theory, which again, it's one of the things I just didn't have time to include. That would be a very rich way to look at this play. The idea of, a colonialist are they, mostly white people go and overtake a country and exploit their resources and then have everyone there question their identity and then they leave. And then the people who were original to it and were dealing a lot with African people, then they're left with their life is a mess because of what the colonists did to them, and they have conflicted ideas of what their identity should be. Do they go back to a traditional way of life? Do they try to emulate white capitalist culture? So that would be rich within this, but again, there's only so much I can cover. So, I don't know if you're listening to this before or after you've read Ruined, but it's a heavy read. Don't let Saleema's monologue put you off. The whole play is not that horrible. There are moments of levity. That's why I included some of the videos from the trailers for the shows. I've given you a couple different things. Well, this is Angels. I've given you a couple different things to look at, largely to let you know that the play is not all dour and sad and blah. I was actually very surprised to hear the music. So anyway, that's Ruined. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you appreciate it. It's a very important play.